I think we should do the podcast in Italian because obviously we have international viewers. I could be like, Ciao a tutti, benvenuti al nuovo episodio di Parole senza saggezza.
Sì.
Hello and welcome to Words Without Wisdom, the podcast where we answer the questions that you did not know that you wanted to hear the answers to. My name is Evan Dixon.
And I'm Matthew Lyon.
I think we're still high on the fame of our last episode that we garnered from our last episode.
Oh, after the fantastic response to our last episode, yeah.
The whole 40 views on YouTube at least.
I mean, we did really well, and if all you viewers are listening to this now, please do stick around. We have other jokes, not just ones related to being outside for once.
And the Annick water, you're going to bleep that?
And apparently not now, because we did in fact discover that the aforementioned river that we were referring to last week was not the river we thought it was, and was actually not that river at all, and so we had no reason to bleep it out.
I can't remember what the river even ended up being.
Well, we can't say that, because that'll give it away.
Well, you can bleep out the phrase.
Well, I can bleep out the phrase. Yes.
Excellent.
And I just did. It's been a busy week, hasn't it?
It certainly has.
Because since the last episode, we have returned to school to complete our final year of higher education.
Oh, no. That's just a terrifying prospect, isn't it?
Yeah.
I wish I was...
And for those of you who don't know... Oh, you wish you were what?
Oh, I was just going to say, I wish I was 11 again.
11? Oh, I don't know if I'd want to be 11. That's an interesting question, because that's what we do here on the Words Without Wisdom podcast, questions. If you could choose a point in your life that, to go back to and start living from again, what would it be?
14 was a good year for me.
14? 2014 or the age 14?
Which would have been, 2017. I don't know why I said it as if I was lying. It would have been 2017.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to think about that, actually.
Oh.
You feel like you've kind of always been the age that you are.
Yeah, I know.
And then you look back and realise that in 2017, when, Peter Capaldi stopped being the Doctor, you were only 14.
Made me feel so old.
I know, I do feel old. I relate all of my age and time intervals to Doctor Who, and suddenly realising that 2018 was when the first Jodie Whittaker series came out. It has made me feel so old, because that was only, that was yesterday.
I know. 2017 was such a long time. Thinking back on it, at the start of that year, Obama was president.
Yeah, he was.
That's just mental, because he was president 20 years ago, right? No?
Yeah, years ago. Yeah, and then Trump has been president.
Oh, Trump's been president forever.
Had been president
Joe
forever.
Biden still isn't president.
No, he's just so ineffectual. We're not. Let's try not to do so much politics on this episode. Yeah, but back to that. And another thing actually, I recently realised is that we'll cover these eventually because we have our Doctor Who segment. But the Silence, the famous Doctor Who villain, 10 years ago they debuted.
Oh, that is
10 years ago.
That is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah. And that was after I'd been watching Doctor Who, or have memories of watching Doctor Who for at least 5 years before that. So that being 10 years ago is mental. Mm-hmm. So you'd say the age of 14. That's the age you'd pick for.
If I had to go in the past, I think if I had the choice, I would remain 18 though. I'm all about the future. It's like when people
18.
say, "What decade would you go back to?" And it's I wouldn't really want to travel into the past, because that'd be boring.
That's true.
Well, it's not boring, but it's
I get that.
As Fleetwood Mac said, "Don't stop thinking about tomorrow."
Yeah, I mean, I was essentially going to say the same thing, because I was leading up to the fact that I don't think there's ever been a time in my life that is now in the past where I don't look back on it and go, "Oh, what was I doing?"
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
What? 2017, for example, was the year, I think, am I right about saying this? The year that we went on I don't think you went, but I went on a school trip to France, to a place called the Ardèche, or on the Ardèche River. And I was just looking back on that the other day and going, oh my God, what was I doing? You know, on that trip, it was just, you just hate your younger self.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hate myself from 6 hours ago.
That's stealing my lines there. That's exactly what I was going to say. Hate myself from a day ago.
Oh, but like, I look back at points in my life and realise how depressing they were. Like 2008, I don't know if it's just the sort of aesthetic, but it was just a depressing year. Like I was in P1, didn't really have that many friends.
There was a financial crisis.
There was a financial crash. Gordon Brown was Prime Minister. Not to say anything bad about it, I'm pretty neutral on Gordon Brown.
But there were 3 separate Doctor Who related TV series airing at that time, so it's not all bad. In the year 2008, we had Doctor Who Series 4, the best series of Doctor Who. We had Torchwood Series 2.
But did you watch Torchwood as a 5-year-old?
I don't think so, no. But we also had the Sarah Jane Adventures series, something or other, 2 maybe, 3. And that was epic, and I did watch that as a 5-year-old.
So yeah, it was absolutely incredible.
Great stuff. Maybe we'll cover that after we've finished every episode of Doctor Who, which will only take us a year or so.
Should you like characters in the Sarah Jane Adventures, are they hot or not? Mr. Smith. I mean, no, it's Alexander Armstrong.
I mean, it's Alexander Armstrong. Yeah, like yeah.
You know,
that's actually the way we should have done that to start off with, because I agree with you. This is the first time. This is the first hot or not segment we've agreed with each other.
I know.
Speaking of,
I think it's time
for hot or not. Welcome to America's Hottest Politicians with Matthew Lyon and Evan Dixon.
Hello and welcome to the podcast segment within the podcast where I rank American politicians by hotness, and then Matthew inevitably disagrees.
Inevitably.
So this week's candidate is the junior senator from Utah and previously served as the governor of Massachusetts. He's known as a moderate.
Backtrack, sorry. The junior senator from what?
Utah.
That's not what you said.
Utah.
I believe what you said was Utah.
Utah.
You're saying it. You're still saying it. Utah. What is Utah?
Utah.
Utah. More stress. More stress on the A, boy.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. That's better. You may now continue.
Today's candidate is the junior senator from the state of Utah. He previously served as the 70th governor of Massachusetts. He's known as a moderate Republican, well known was very successful in the business world as well. And it's Mitt Romney.
I've just It's
Mitt Romney.
I just googled the junior senator from Utah, and it's Mitt Romney. Oh no!
No, do you not see it? You really?
No. I mean, I know what Mitt Romney looks like to begin with. No.
Maybe it's a Mormon thing.
Normally, I have to Google people on work. I will reveal a secret that normally I have to Google most of the people Evan comes up with. But in the case of Mitt Romney, I do in fact know what he looks like, and oh my god, no.
Really? Are you sure?
Really? You did say inevitably disagree.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's like I wouldn't date him.
Also, he's the enemy of my Lord and Savior Barack Obama.
It's a charm thing.
So Evan, what are the delectable Mitt Romney's statistics?
Well, for looks, he does get a 7.
7, I see.
7. And for charm, he also gets a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Policy, he gets a 3.
Yeah, that's good. Yes, I'm glad.
I assume he would not want to pursue a relationship with any man.
I doubt that. Yes.
I assume all of these people none of these people would want to pursue a relationship with a man, but I feel like especially Mitt Romney, being the devout Mormon he is.
Very much so.
Although, as we know,
shedding his skin and all that.
Uh-huh.
As we know, you can be a Mormon and a homosexual.
Yes, indeed.
As Tony Kushner once said.
I don't think he said that in the play. And if you don't know what play we're referring to,
Google
get
it,
cultured.
work it out, get some culture in you, learn about literature.
Literature?
I don't know why I said it that way.
Learn
about famous
those
American
damned
literature
angels in America.
In that damned country.
So yes. So this
So Mitt Romney. Now this is the part where I say I disagree with you, Evan. He's not hot.
Is it though? Are you sure?
So I'd like to surprise you by saying I disagree with you, Evan. He's not hot.
Insert shocked noise.
Oh yes. I mean, I just don't understand any of these. I would like to have some kind of reasoned, like with some of the previous that I've had, reason why I don't. The fact of the matter is, not only is my taste in men incredibly specific, but also I just don't see where this attraction lies with anyone over the age of 50.
I wouldn't date
apart from
him.
David Tennant.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't date him. It's not like a genuine emotional... You know, like, there's two types of attraction. There's like a genuine emotional connection, physical connection.
Yeah.
And then there's like American politician connection. And we, you know, Matt and
is
I
that
have...
in psychology texts?
Matt and I... Exactly.
The American politician
we have the latter,
connection.
and when I say we, I mean me. I
Is
have
that
the
the
latter
sequel to the
towards
French
Matt.
Connection?
It's a French Connection. Fuck.
What?
French Connection UK. Fuck.
Okay.
Have you never seen that? Like, t-shirts that say, like, FC UK, and it looks like fuck, but it's fuck.
No.
Really?
What does it mean?
French
What?
Connection UK.
What is French Connection UK?
French Connection, United Kingdom.
Right. That doesn't help.
French Connection.
What does it mean?
The brand, which is based in the United Kingdom, and thus his full name is FC UK, French Connection, United Kingdom.
I thought the French Connection was a film.
Oh, I mean, I think it is, but I was talking about the
referring
clothing
to
brand.
the film.
Oh, well.
Sorry, no, I was referring to the film.
Well, that's where you and I differ.
Yes, it is a film. It's about a train.
Yeah. Anyway, back to Hot or Not.
Back to Hot or Not. We are not good at staying on Hot or Not, are we?
No, we really aren't.
Back to Hot or Not. I really would like to have, as I said, something reasoned to say about why I can't agree with you. But I just, anyone over the age of 50, besides David Tennant, who is 50, so not over the age of 50, so he's fine for now. I just don't see it. I don't get it.
Matthew, I don't get it either. It's just,
Yeah. Well, that's the French Connection for you.
So I think hot.
And I think not. You've been listening to America's Hottest Politicians with Matthew Lyon and Evan Dixon. Who's the cat? Whose major itinerary is making all us merrier? Who's the Isn't he wonderful? The wonderful wizard. Speaking of Wicked, Evan, and returning to the main section of the podcast, hello again, everyone. You have quite a history with Wicked, don't you?
I do not want to talk about it.
You do not want to talk about it, but that is too bad because I didn't tell them.
Yes, when I was a young child of 10 and 1 years, I was probably about 11. I had a YouTube channel where I used to buy and sell Wicked bootlegs and like post Wicked bootlegs.
Yeah. That is bootlegs of live performances of Wicked.
Yes,
illegally recorded. And you're quite deep into it, weren't you? From what the discussions we've had, you were on forums.
I was on forums. I used to like there was like urban legends. There was like hidden sort of like there was stories about it, and there was like screen caps from certain bootleg videos that had just seemed to be sort of lost to the ages, and that everyone used to covet them.
I just think it's very entertaining that you were right deep into this.
It was such a cringe hobby. It was such a cringe hobby.
Right, for those who say that we're just jumping on the popularizing podcast, internet, YouTubing, craze that's built up over the past, we have been on YouTube and on the internet creating things for many, many years.
I know, in various
as has
forms.
been proven.
I used to
in
make
various forms. Evan has done YouTube vlogs and comedy videos. I've done stuff since about 2013, making different types of content. We're internet veterans, you might say.
Yeah, no, we are internet veterans, and I think that's a testament to our internet veteranity. I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, what I was going with this was quite an interesting question I'd like to get your perspective on is how you think the internet and the internet creative community and the things that go on in it have changed in your time, like those wicked forums, do you think they are a thing that could still exist, or do you think the internet has become too hostile?
The one that I was specifically active on doesn't exist anymore, which is probably just, I mean, things like Corona has impacted so much. It's impacted the theatre industry. So I feel like it's just people, it's not ongoing anymore anywhere. So people aren't really into it. So I feel like this has all had a big impact.
True, but in terms of the development of the online community, since, the age when you were 11 and when 2013 or whatever, when I started, and I guess I would be about the same age, how do you feel that you've done YouTube pretty much through all of that time. You've made videos of some form or another.
And deleted them.
How do you think, yes.
In case you're wondering.
How do you think that that it's changed, the way of YouTube has changed?
It's probably a lot more hostile, like just in general. I just feel like the internet used to be quite a wholesome place. Well, at least my understanding was the internet was quite a wholesome place, and I just feel like in general it's a hostile place.
I suppose that could be greatly affected by our perspective as quite young people at the time.
Yeah, probably.
Being on YouTube and not perhaps seeing or understanding those kind of spheres of the internet. But I also do think that the internet has become more hostile, partly due to the market takeover of the internet and the way in which social media corporations and companies exploit things like anger and rage and outrage.
You're right. Companies love to exploit human emotion.
Because it makes them money and it keeps people on their platform.
Companies
there are many excellent videos.
Things for money.
There are many excellent videos about Twitter's algorithm and the way in which it stirs up resentment and outrage about things, because that's what keeps people on their platform. Mm-hmm. Because interesting to note that the Twitter user base has not grown from about 315 million active users for about 4 or 5 years now.
Oh, right.
It literally has not changed that much. And it's because most people who go onto Twitter and are not used to it immediately leave, because it's so hostile and it's so... I mean, you've left Twitter. Yeah. It's so... everything about it is not friendly to a new user. And so what they've had to do is adapt their systems to keep all those 315 million on the platform for longer to generate more revenue rather than bringing new people in. And that means they've had to essentially... The social media platforms talk about how they want to reduce misinformation and they want to reduce these kind of mob things and rage and all that sort of thing, but actually they make loads of money from it. They don't really want to stop it. They feed into it because that's how they design their algorithms.
Yes. Social media just shouldn't be for profit. Nothing should be for profit. You know what? Money should just be abolished.
There is no ethical consumption under... I can't say it every time. It's going to be the new mantra of the podcast.
No. We don't want to alienate...
We said we wouldn't do politics.
We don't want to alienate our capitalist viewers.
We don't like them.
I mean, we were talking about my old niche videos. Let's talk about your old niche videos. Because they were incredible, I think.
My old days on the internet are certainly infamous amongst our peers and our friends and stuff. I've had, for those of you who don't know, there's a channel which I recommend you go and subscribe to right now called Odyssey Productions. That's my current channel, or one of my current channels, and that channel is actually, you'll find, I don't know if there are any remnants of this, the same channel that I have been using since 2013 to upload whatever it is that I think I want or decide I want to upload on YouTube at that time. And that has included a channel called True Gaming, which at the time was a very kind of in thing, that kind of name, because it was the time of gaming compilations and stuff like that, and that's essentially what I was doing with that channel, and it's very infamous amongst our peers. As I said, so if you want to see any of that, get us to 1 million followers, and then you can see some old True Gaming content. I will publish it under a new name if we reach 1 million followers.
I mean,
but until
let's
then,
not mention the fact
nothing.
that the next iteration of your channel was entitled Critically Crafted, which famously caused a lot of confusion.
Let's absolutely not. Oh yeah.
Famously caused a lot of confusion with Matthew and I used to do public speaking competitions at school, and we were discussing with the other competitors about our respective YouTube channels, and this girl asked if Matthew's channel, Critically Crafted, was an arts and crafts channel, which is to me is just an absolutely hilarious image.
It was pretty funny.
We should have like an arts and crafts section, or like a crochet tutorial section.
This is absolutely not an arts and crafts section of any kind, because as anyone who would know me would say, my art abilities, I think I would say probably both our art abilities are appalling.
Absolutely.
So the fact that she called it an arts and crafts channel or thought it was an arts and crafts channel is utterly hilarious.
Because we don't look like, do we look like people who do arts and crafts? I don't think so.
I mean, we look quite pathetic.
we do.
As specimens. So if you would like look at us, you'd say probably not sports.
No.
Or any kind of physical activity, which kind of leaves you with either this or art.
What academia doing?
Well, academia is what I meant by this. Although I wouldn't say that's a great description of academia. Words Without Wisdom is an academic podcast. We're two academics.
Oh yeah, I'm currently writing my thesis on America's hottest politicians.
Does it include the correlations between ideology and hotness?
It's a sociology dissertation on the correlation between political ideology and perceived attractiveness.
Perceived attractiveness by young Scottish men.
If you would like to email us and let us know what your first impressions of us were, whether you thought we were geeky or arty or...
That is a very good one, actually, yes.
Sporty.
On the first occasion of listening to this podcast or knowing us in life, how did you view us? We haven't said the email enough this episode. Make sure to email us.
Please do so at wordswithoutwisdom. That's wordswithout, WISDM, no O in the wisdom, at gmail.com. And if you just like the podcast and want to send us a message, please do so at wordswithoutwisdm at gmail.com.
If you want to interact with us in any way, if you want to suggest things that we should talk about, we're always open to that. And speaking of which, I think it is probably time that we should head over to our inbox and see what's in there.
Oh, indeed.
So, Evan, what is in our inbox this week?
We have a couple of new emails, actually. We have one from our dear friend Anna, who sent us an email with the subject line, un homosexuel, which is bad.
Fantastic.
Bad French grammar for a start, because if it was feminine, it should have an extra LE at the end.
Appalling stuff.
Which would mean a homosexual woman, or a lesbian, as the kids say. And, she says, "Hello, my dearest friends. How do you find this merry day? I hope it is pleasant and full of vigour." She goes on to talk about how we don't talk enough about the life of Dionne Warwick.
Dionne Warwick. Well, if you would like, Anna, we can mention Dionne Warwick.
So, Matthew, what is your opinion on Dionne Warwick?
Dionne Warwick, of course, famous singer of the original singer, if I'm not mistaken, of. Am I right?
Yeah,
no?
of I Say a Little Prayer.
Of I Say a Little Prayer. Before Aretha Franklin did it, and she did it worse.
Oh, see, I just don't
By which
agree.
I mean Dionne Warwick did it worse.
Yeah,
Aretha Franklin
I just don't
did
agree.
It better. We have much contention on this issue.
We do have much contention over this. I like the Bacharach arrangement. Do.
If I'm not mistaken, that you don't like that Aretha Franklin
I do like
sings
the Aretha Franklin
backing.
version, but I prefer the
No,
Dionne
but you
Warwick
don't like the Aretha Franklin sings backing on the chorus of her version rather than the lead vocal.
What?
You said that to me. You said that to me before, that you don't like that Aretha sings the backing on her chorus rather than the lead vocal.
Yeah. I thought you meant on Dionne Warwick's chorus. I was like, no, she doesn't.
No, Aretha Franklin's.
Yes. No, I don't like that. Forever, yeah, just if you don't know the song, look it up. It's got some amazing
singing in this
It's
episode.
got some amazing meter changes. It goes from like 4/4 to 2/4 to 4/4 to 3/4.
Amazing,
spicy, catch you by surprise. Oh, such a good song. No matter, we may have our own disagreements about what version is better, but
it's a good song. Yes, regardless, it's a great song. Other than that, can't say I have much of an opinion on the life of Dionne Warwick.
No,
I don't really know much else that she's done, not gonna lie. It's probably a sad. Dionne Warwick didn't get the same funeral as Aretha Franklin, but...
Well, she's not dead, so that's probably why.
Okay, I just assumed she was. Well, that's good.
Anna also sent
Sorry
us the
to the family of Dionne Warwick.
Anna also sent us the entirety of the novel The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson.
Would you like to give us a sample of the first few lines of that, perhaps?
No.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't want to relive it. We're studying this novel in English.
Mr. Utterson was a man of rugged countenance.
We're studying this novel.
I don't think that's the first line.
And I don't want to relive
For an English lit.
And if our English teacher happens to be watching, I do want to relive it, and of course I'll be studying this novel in depth.
It's the wrong English teacher. It's fine. So that was an excellent trip to the inbox. It's lovely to hear about The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and some love for that book, which is obviously so underrated.
Speaking of works of fiction that contain the word doctor.
Oh, fantastic segue there from Evan.
Thank you very much. It's time for ranking Doctor Who episodes.
So, as usual, we are ranking Doctor Who episodes this week. Of course, we do this if you've seen the podcast before. If you haven't, we do this based on a tier list system.
So the tier list goes from the greatest to amazing, then good, okay, bad, awful, and not canon. But obviously, we're not for that. Everything is canon.
We're not for deny reality. Not canon. We don't do that. It's just this. Some things are just bad. They don't have to be not part of canon.
I know.
And of course, last week we covered the first 3 episodes of Series 2, that being New Earth, Tooth and Claw, and School Reunion, and we also covered the Christmas Invasion. So of course that means this week it's episode 4, The Girl in the Fireplace. Now, I don't know how much you know about the consensus on The Girl in the Fireplace in the Doctor Who community, but The Girl in the Fireplace is widely considered to be an excellent episode, and I enjoy it, but I think it's massively overrated.
I mean, you're saying it's widely considered to be an excellent episode. I'm not sure I would say excellent. I'd say it's okay. I mean...
No, I don't agree with that statement. That's just how many people view it. I consider it to be quite overrated.
Well, I would agree then. I think it is overrated if people are saying that.
Yeah. Despite the fact it's directed by Euros Lyn, who's a fantastic director on Doctor Who, it's enjoyable, but I can't say I'm a huge fan of the Doctor being a romantic hero and snogging people thing.
That's true.
I can't say that's I love that a lot, because I don't.
Plus it's a weird future time past fusion episode.
I don't mind that. It's just, and there's also a bit of a weird power dynamic considering he meets her first when she's a child and then proceeds to have a romantic relationship with her, which also occurs in this episode, of course, written by Stephen Moffat. That also occurs in Stephen Moffat's first season of Doctor Who, which is actually something I've just realised and is now slightly weirding me out.
Oh well.
The Doctor meets someone as a child and then comes back when they're an adult and has
a
sexual tension with them, which
it's just tension, though. You know what I mean?
Guess it's just striking me as a bit odd. Anyway, so for The Girl in the Fireplace,
what I was going to say, I would say okay. I find it a largely forgettable episode, but that may just be me being forgetful.
No. I think I'm good with having it okay.
That's fine by me.
So that's The Girl in the Fireplace in OK. So we move on to the next episode, which is the first of a 2-parter, Rise of the Cybermen, directed by Graham Harper. I don't know how you feel about these ones. We've never really discussed them much, but I quite like this episode.
I like this story. I wouldn't say I can differentiate one, because I haven't watched them in a long time, I can't really differentiate well the first one stops.
Rise of the Cybermen is very much more of the arriving in the parallel universe and Rose dealing with seeing her parents or her dad alive again and her being replaced with a dog, which is quite funny. I like this story. I wouldn't say one of them is particularly better than the other one, to be honest. That's
maybe
certainly
the second
true.
one just because it's obviously more climactic. But I like this story. I like Jackie Tyler.
No, honestly, I actually think Rise of the Cybermen is the better episode for me, because I think the second episode has a lot of just action, and as much as I love action, I think the kind of the continuing on the themes of Father's Day with Rose and or not so much the themes, but
universe, and it's like, there's a president,
and it's just very interesting. It's kind of the first time we'd seen a parallel universe in that in Doctor Who. In that way,
and Roger Lloyd Pack,
and I mean, there's a lot, and the tension is built very well with the Cybermen and the Lumic Foundation and the earpieces, and that all happens in the first episode.
Roger
so that's
Lloyd
all
Pack,
a lot of
whom I believe either him or his brother was Sandy Toksvig's sperm donor.
What? Interesting.
Just in case you were wondering.
I was wondering, yes, I was really wanted to know who Sandy Toksvig's sperm donor was. I honestly forgot she had a son, but I don't know why, because there's a really good clip where she sits on her son on an episode of QI. Google it, so that's no longer out of context. So somehow getting back to Doctor Who, what would you give Rise of the Cybermen?
Probably good.
I'd give it a good as well,
give it a good.
There's probably not much more we can say about the Age of Steel, and I would probably give that a good as well.
Yeah.
It's classic Series 2 stuff. The reintroduction for the first time of the Cybermen, classic Who villain, done very well, I think, very menacing. And seeing conversion and stuff, which is something that had been seen before, but not so much in such a graphic way. It's pretty cool.
Groundbreaking, one might say. And I think we shall finish with one more, and that would be The Idiot's Lantern.
Yeah, it's again directed by the fabulous director Euros Lint and written by Mark Gatiss, who I like a lot of his stuff. So
I quite like this one. I mean, as far as historical episodes go, I think it's certainly a better one. I think the more contemporary they are, the more interesting they are.
I mean, I quite like historical episodes. I know a lot of people don't. I think they can add an interesting dynamic to historical events, and especially in an educational sense, can teach you a lot, and I don't mind that. But yeah, I could see why perhaps this one would be more appealing. I mean, this one has a very distinct feeling to it. Mm-hmm. Unlike a lot of other historicals, especially when they're set pre the 20th century, they tend to be just quite... They don't tend to latch onto the feeling of the era they're set in. Whereas this has, they're on a scooter and they've got his hair is slicked back and Rose is wearing the outfit, and it's all very 50s. Yeah, it's all very 50s, and that's all very important to the story.
And Maureen Lipman.
Yeah, I knew you were going to mention Maureen Lipman. she's a menacing villain. It's not a very well liked or remembered villain, but I think she is quite menacing. In the episode, I think she, her hungry.
Yes, it's disturbing and the faces that get sucked off.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. And of course, a TV show with a message about watching too much TV, which is an interesting thing, but a good thing. Don't watch TV. Go outside.
I know.
Record a podcast. Go outside.
Someone tell Alanis Morissette that's what irony is.
Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? So, The Idiot's Lantern, I would probably give an okay.
I mean, I would say good, but I'm willing to compromise with okay.
I just feel like in terms of in relation to other episodes, it just doesn't reach the heights. It's just okay.
I'm willing to make that concession.
Well, I'm glad, because I wasn't going to accept anything else. That was a joke.
And that leaves us at the end of our podcast.
And that marks the end of both the Doctor Who Ranking Doctor Who episode segment and the end of the podcast. It's been wonderful having you all once again back to our usual format, although we do appreciate all the response to last week's episode. We loved filming it, we loved editing it, we loved making it, so thank you all very much for the support.
One quick note, be sure to follow our Instagram account. That's Words Without Wisdom Pod.
Yeah, and make sure to follow us or me at least on Twitter, because I want more Twitter followers. We never say this. We should plug stuff more.
Oh yeah,
follow our Instagram. Follow me on follow Evan on Instagram. Follow me, Matthew Lyon. All the links are in the description to those things. I think your Instagram's in the description. My Twitter's in the description. To all the podcasts and the videos. And make sure to email us if you have any thoughts on what we discussed in this week's episode and any of the Doctor Who episodes. wordswithoutwisdom@gmail.com. No, and the wisdom words without WISDM. And thank you very much for coming. Make sure to follow, turn on any notifications if that's the thing you can do. Rate the podcast if that's the thing you can do. And share with your friends.
Thank you very much for listening. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye.